Welcome to AngryGeek Show, the podcast where we dive into the world of virtualization, VMware, and infrastructure. I'm Piotr, and I joined with my friend Manu, and together we are going to explore the latest trends, news, and insights in the existing field of virtualization. Whenever you're an IT professional, a software developer, or just someone who's interested in learning more about world of virtualization, this podcast is for you. We will be sharing our experience and expertise, discussing the latest technologies and innovation, and bringing in guest expert to share their insights and perspectives. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey as we explore everything related to virtualization. Let's start.
Yes. So in today video, we'll discuss about the VMs and containers, how they are different, how we can use in our existing environment, and what are the best thing about that. So let me start with the virtual machine. So
Yeah.
virtual machine and container are both technology that enable developer to create and manage isolate computing environment, which can help simply software development and deployment. VM can essentially emulated version of the physical computer that allow multiple operating system and application to run on a single physical server. Each VM has its own virtualized hardware, including virtual CPU, memory, storage, and network adapters. VM provides strong isolation and securities, which makes them useful for running multiple applications with different dependency or to testing new software in a safe and controlled environment. What your thought about containers, Peter?
Hey, so yes, containers. Often, if we think about containers, the two things comes to the mind, which is Docker and Kubernetes. So Kubernetes and containers, often short as K8S, is a Kubernetes. Is a system that helps manage applications and services across multiple computers or servers. In simple terms, it's like having a personal assistant that helps you to coordinate and distribute workloads across a team of people, ensuring everything runs smoothly and efficiently. You can think of it in this way. Um, Imagine you are a chef and you need to prepare a meal for a large company, for a large group of people. You have multiple assistants who can help you with this task, like, let's say, chopping vegetables, cooking meats, and planning dishes. However, you need to make sure that everyone is working together, uh, communicating efficiently, and not getting in each other's way. This is where Kubernetes came into the place. Kubernetes acts as this kitchen chef of your application or service and helping manage and orchestrate tasks across multiple assistant computers or services. It ensures that each task is assigned to the right server. The servers are working together to complete tasks and ensuring that any issue or errors are quickly identified and resolved.
Yes, that's the great thing about the container. Like in my environment, I use this container a lot. So in other word, we can also say that there is a dish called samosa in India. Okay, that is so popular. So Docker is something like a sophisticated version of that. So yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so what what do you think? What kind of benefits or drawbacks you can have using virtual machines?
For the virtual machine, I have to say that the isolation, the complete isolation that virtual machine provide, it is far superior than the what we have in the Docker. Basically, in when we talk about the isolation, it it is separating everything. It is separating at the at the OS level itself. but in container it is not like it is not the case. And the another thing that I like about the VM, that is the flexibility. Like virtual machine allow you to run multiple operating system and application on a single physical server, which can help save space and resources while increasing flexibility and scalability. This can be especially useful in software development and testing, as well as in cloud computing environments. What else benefit that you think about, Peter, about the VM?
Backup and recovery, yes. So virtual machines can be easily backed and can be easily restored. So you are sure you have your files intact. And the next one is security. So the virtual machines can help improve security by providing an additional layer of protection between the host machine and the virtual machine. That means if virtual machines is compromised by malware, it can be isolated and it can be uh, switched off. Won't be affecting the other virtual machines on the host. And if you can see on the YouTube, there's lots of the video when the people are baiting scammers and they all using virtual machines, because if the scammer will get access to your virtual machine, they can just mess up with the virtual machine, but they cannot mess up with your host environment. So this is the great benefit. What's the drawbacks?
Yeah, for the drawback, I have to say it's a performance. Like, as it is running on a separate operating system, so for anything, let's suppose if you want to talk down to the hardware level in order to communicate, he need to pass instruction to the two OS. One is the OS from the operating system that it is using, and the another OS the any hypervisor OS that it is using. So due to which it increase like it reduce the performance. And another thing is the resource overhead, like virtual machine require additional resource to run, including CPU, memory, and storage. This can result in additional cost for hardware and infrastructure. What else coming into your mind, Peter, about the
Yeah,
drawbacks?
so I would say complexity. It could be that managing multiple virtual machines can be complex and time consuming, especially if they've been different configuration or requirements. And of course, we cannot forget about the license costs. So running multiple operating systems and applications on the single physical machine may require additional licenses, which can add to overall cost of using virtual machines.
Yes.
Um, but again, I see more pros than cons of running virtual machines, and then the traditional hardware. Maybe we can tell me what providers can you mention, which the users can get the virtual machines like on.
On the system. Yeah, so like there are VMware is a great provider, like it's a world known in this space. The another we have the virtual box, but it is kind of a type 2 hypervisor. So because it will install top up of your existing OS. The another is very popular, Hyper-V from the Microsoft. And we have one more is KVM. It's a kernel based virtual machine. There is Zen, and as well as there is one more like Proxmox. So there are lots of companies are using Proxmox. Even my home lab is set up on the Proxmox itself. So those are the great solution as well. What's your thought about container?
So we covered basically virtual machines. Let's talk about the benefits and drawbacks of using containers. Would you
Yes.
like to start with the benefits?
Yeah, definitely. So the best thing about the containers that I really like is the lightweight and the fast deployment. Let's suppose if you want to deploy anything, you can deploy anything with a click of a snap. It's so fast.
Mhm.
Containers are much lightweight than virtual machine, which mean they can be deployed much faster and require less storage and resources. This can be especially useful in an environment where quickly scaling and deployment is useful, such as cloud computing. And the another thing that we have the isolation at the application level. We cannot say it at the proper hardware level, but at application level there is a much isolation. Like container provide isolation at the application level, meaning that each container runs a separate instance of application and its dependency. This allow multiple application to run on a physical machine without interfering with each other, and can help improve security and scalability. What else coming to your mind when we talk about the containers benefits?
Containers, the first thing which comes to my mind, apart from what you mentioned, is scalability. So containers, and this is just the idea of containers for me, like number one, can be easy scale up and down depending on the demand, which of course can help improve efficiency and costs reduce. And as we talk about this one, we need to mention that containers, they provide a way to package and distribute application in a consistent and portable way. And this is the next great benefit, the consistency across different platforms. That means that the application can be developed and tested in one environment and then easily develop and move to another environment without having to worry about differences on underlying infrastructure on dependencies. So yes, so this is the whole idea for the containers, but as well as they great, they have some limitation. Would you like to talk about drawbacks now?
Yeah, definitely. So it is like if you are using like Linux based operating system, then the container solution is so awesome. Like it's a lightweight, it will easily deploy. But when it's come to like a GUI base, or then it is not that up to the mark. So if you're going for a GUI based OS, then you can definitely go with the VMs. But when it's a Linux base and you need like high scalability, then you can definitely go with the containers. Then the complexity. Container can be complex to manage, especially when dealing with multiple container running different application and dependency. What else come to your mind, Peter, when we talk about the drawbacks of container?
Yes, so because they're quite complex, so the security concern comes to my mind. So why container provides isolation at the application level, they can still be vulnerable to security threats, such as a container breakout attack, which we can cover in the next session. And limited hardware access. So containers are isolated for the host system, which means that they have limited access to hardware resources such as GPU and other specialized hardwares. Yeah, I think that's what's on my mind. Do you have anything to add?
Nothing on the drawback side from my end. These are the only things. Uh, le- let's talk about some popular containerization software. So one of the gate software is Docker. Docker is a popular open source containerization software that allow you to create, package, and distribute containerized application. The another is Kubernetes. Is a it is also an open source container orchestration platform that allow you to automate uh, the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized application. And I guess in VMware we have the Tanzu. So underlying it is also using the Kubernetes.
Yes, Kubernetes. Let's not forget Kubernetes is the Google invention.
Yeah.
So it's the most popular uh, container of yes.
And what else come to your mind, like when you talk about the
Yeah,
containerized software?
we have as well Apache Mesos.
Mm-hmm.
So of course it's open source cluster manager that provides a interface for managing resources across
Mm-hmm.
multiple data centers and cloud
Mm-hmm.
environments. We have a Core OS, which is lightweight Linux-based operating system, and this is designed specifically for running containers to running applications. and
Mhm.
it provides a range of tools for managing containers, such as a Core OS Container Linux for running containers. And OpenShift is a container application platform, and this is developed by Red Hat. So that provides a range of tools for developing, scaling, and managing your applications. Yeah, I think you mentioned already VMware Tanzu, uh, which is a great product as well, especially if you have a VMware environment already built in. You can add the Tanzu cluster, and I think we have to cover that in the future episodes as well.
Definitely, we can cover that. And now let's talk about the comparison and contrast between both the technologies. Okay, resource usage and efficiency. Let's talk about that. What come to your mind when we talk about the resource usage and efficiency about the VMs and containers?
Yeah, so if we have a look on the VM, so VM, which is virtual machine, require a full copy of operating system, as well as virtualized hardware, which can result in significant resource usage and slower performance compared to containers. Each VM runs its own kernel, which can result in additional overhead and memory usage. Containers are much lighter than VMs and require fewer resources to run. So each container shares the underlying operation system and kernel with the host, which means that they can be started and stopped much more quickly than VMs. What else?
Let's talk about the isolation and security. When it's come to the VM or the virtual machine provide strong isolation between the host machine and the guest VM, which can help improve security and prevent one VM from affecting another. Each VM run its own copy of the operating system, which can help improve isolation between the application. Now let's talk about the containers. Container provide isolation at the application level itself. That means each container runs separate instance of an application and its dependency, which while container provide less isolation compared to virtual machine, they can still help improve security by isolating individual application from each other, like everything having their own case. So yeah, this all about the isolation and security.
Yeah,
What's come to your mind? Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, we can talk about the portability and compatibility also.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a look again for VM first, we see they are typically less portable than container, um, which the idea of container is to be portable. The VMs require a full copy of operation system, which I mentioned. Um, Containers are highly portable and can be easily moved between the different environments as long as the underlying host has the necessary runtime and libraries. So yeah, so this is the idea behind the containers was this portability and scalability, um, which VMs doesn't have. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I agree on that point. Now let's talk about the development and the production environment as well. So let's start with the development. In the development environment, container will be more appropriate due to their profitability and scalability. Developer can easily create and share container to test their application in different environment without having to worry about the dependency and the compatibility issue. And if we talk about the production cases, so VMs may be more appropriate due to their strong isolation and security. VMs can provide more robust security and scalability, which is critical production environment where downtime or data breaches can significant consequence. So yeah, that's all about this. Anything about like what's your thought on the monolithic versus microservice architecture, Piotr?
Yes, sure. So we have to compare two like architectures like monolith and microservices. So
Mm-hmm.
monolith architecture, um, in that architecture, VM may be more appropriate to due to their support for wide range of operating systems and applications. So monolithic
Hmm.
applications are often designed to run on specific operation system and may require specific libraries or dependencies, which can be difficult to manage in the container environment. And um, let's say, like example, it could be like a CCTV monitoring system, which was built specific for Windows environment, and that could be challenging to to be turned into microservices and containers. Microservices are for containers. They are designed to be modular and portable, which means that they can be easily containerized and deployed across different environments. Containers also provide great flexibility and scalability, uh, which is important in the microservice architecture, and requires fast, uh, requires fast and frequent deployment. And again, and we will be like talking back and forward, but the containers are all about the scalability and portability. Um, so it's up to the user, because I don't want to state the one is better than other, like so I don't want to say that VMs is better than containers or containers are better than VMs. It all depends on the user needs. So if you again need a application which needs to be very quickly scalable and portable, that's the containers. If you need something stable and run in the same environment, then VMs is a good solution. What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, like I totally agree with your point. I want to add one more thing. Let's
Yeah.
suppose if you want to go with some GUI operating system, then go with the VM. There's no other way around for that. If you want something that is very lightweight, it's only like you want to access via the CLI, and you want to, if you want to easily scale that, then go for the containers. So yeah, that's all from my side. And regarding the monolithical and the microservice architecture, we can have a separate podcast on that. Like there's so much thing that we can cover over that part. So we only cover the gist of that. So yeah, I guess we are good. We almost cover everything. Um, let's jump into the conclusion and in this podcast.
So I just want to tell you, thank you for tuning in. And again, the containers versus VM, there's no winner or loser. They're all specific for your environment and for your needs. Listen to that podcast again if you want to decide. Uh, uh, and that's all for today's episode of Angry Geek Show. And we hope you found our discussion on virtualization containers and VMs insightful. We are um, uh, we'd like to thank you for tuning in, and encourage you to subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date on the latest trends, news, and insights in the world of virtualization. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out on our social media or through our websites.
Yep, definitely. I guess we are good. We'll
Yeah.
catch up on the next one. Peace.
Until the next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the exciting world of virtualization and infrastructure. Thank you for listening.
Yep.